Good evening, Tulane parents. This is Penny Wyatt, Director of Parent Programs at Tulane University. I apologize for our late start. We had to fix a technical glitch on our end, so I do apologize for that. So we have a few procedures I just want to review so that everybody's on the same page and we can make sure everything goes okay. So tonight, all of you, as usually happens with our webinars, are muted. So you're not on mic, but you will be able to type in questions at the end of the webinar. So I do want to just cover a couple of other things. So you have a control panel on your side, and you have a way that you can raise your hand. But what we want you to use that for is to raise your hand that you can hear the broadcast and see the screen. So if those of you could raise your hands to give me some indication that we're all a go. Okay, that's good. I can see that. So wonderful. I'm going to put your hands down and ask you another question. We do primarily organize this webinar to serve the parents of brand new students. So I would ask if you are, and that means new first-year students and new transfer students. If you are a parent of a returning sophomore, junior, or senior, raise your hand. Okay, this will still help you with the procedural parts of the shipping and mail services components, but your students have a different move-in date. So we'll just keep that in mind when we get to that part of the program. So the other thing I just want to mention is that this is the volume for the webinar. If you need to increase the volume, you can do that on your side with your controls. So keep that in mind. If you should lose the connection, if you're tuning in with your computer, the email confirmation message that you got also tells you how to dial in by phone. So if something happens, you could call in, and some parents have told us that's happened in the past, and they had to call in and follow along. Now, I will send you tomorrow a PDF of the slides and a link to the recording so that you can go back through that again if you want. So you don't have to worry too much tonight about taking notes on what we're going to say, because you'll get all of this information. So everything you see on the screen, you will receive tomorrow. Tonight we have a lot of ground to cover, and so our strategy is going to be that we're going to go through the slides kind of as quickly as possible, knowing that you can kind of absorb that information as you see it on the screen as we go, and then you'll also get this material again tomorrow. I also sent to all of you by email today, unless you registered in the last like half an hour, I sent you links to the move-in guide for first-year students that's on the Housing and Residence Life website. And I reminded you that your students have already received an email from Mail Services with their instructions and attachments of labels. And then many of you may have already received those by hard copy snail mail by this point in the week. If you haven't, they should be coming very soon. Maybe just to get an idea, I'll ask you for one more hand-raising question. If your student has already received that package in your mailbox at home, raise your hand. Okay, that's great. I see a lot of people have already received those. It probably depends on how close you live to New Orleans. So don't dismay if you didn't get them today. I'm sure there will still be coming. But all of that information you kind of have in front of you. So what we're providing is a little bit more context, a little bit more detail, and just kind of putting it all together in a narrated form for you. You have pretty much what you need, but this gives everybody an opportunity just to kind of hear more about this and to ask some questions at the end. So we ask that you hold your questions until the end when we prompt you, because we've tried to anticipate your questions, and every year we go back and look at last year's parents' questions to refine the presentation for this year. So we hope that we've kind of captured all of that, and we can get to that if you will just kind of wait, but we'll let you know when it's time to type in your questions. So I think that's all of the kind of procedural overview. So I want to just kind of show you that our two presenters tonight will be Jay Marlborough, who is the Associate Director for Mail Operations, and John Tingley, Assistant Director for Housing Facilities. So these two staff members at Tulane coordinate huge components of this whole shipping and move-in process. And so they're here to share their expertise and what they've organized for you. So our goals are to make the move-in process as smooth as possible for our new Tulane families. And so as I shared with you in the email earlier today, here's the topic outline. So we're going to cover a lot. So I think without further ado, since you can read all of those things, we're going to go ahead and get started with the content. So Jay's going to come to the microphone and start us off. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jay. I'm with Mail Services here at Tulane University, and I'm going to just go over some of the basics on student move-in, and particularly as it relates to shipping items down. So what's already happened here is that we have emailed all the students to their Tulane email account, and we have sent by U.S. Postal Service the packet of shipping instructions. The students should already have those emails, and if you might want to check with your student to see if they've checked their Tulane email, and if so, they can always forward that to you so you can review that and have that information in an electronic form as well. During move-in, we of course partner with FedEx to help us. They help us facilitate the move-in and all the shipping and receiving. Although we're working with FedEx, it is your option to use another carrier, because we do FedEx and Mail Services will handle all carriers. So with this packet, we provide a shipping schedule. There's a calendar that is in the packet that, based on your student's arrival time, it will show when to ship those packages. Your windows, based on where you are in the country, we've calculated that out so that they arrive in the appropriate time frame and not too early, not too late. So those calendars are in your packet. So we're going to, as we receive packages, they're going to be routed to tractor trailers, where we're going to stage them and store them. As we receive them, we will email the students for every package that's received to give them a notice that we've got it, we're holding it, and they're staged. They're going to be available there for you to pick up at the on move-in day. We will also have ROTC students who are there to help on move-in day, to help you move those items from the trailers back to the residence halls. So why do we handle it this way? This is just to tell you that we generally get from 4,000 to 5,000 packages per year during this period, each one weighing over 20 pounds a piece. So we're dealing with, over 40 tons of material that comes in over 2 weeks. So obviously we don't have enough storage in our normal mail operation, so we bring in these trailer trucks and have FedEx to help us to handle all the extra volume. This is kind of a sample of the packet that you should have received. Like I said, the packets contain labels that will have the shipping address on them, as well as the student's mailbox number. The mailbox number is a particularly important piece. It will be their mailbox number throughout the year. It's not just used at move-in time. This is the address you'll be able to use to send student thing all year long. It is 31 McAllister Drive, and with their mailbox number. This kind of shows you the format to use it, how to address things. You can also put the mailbox number after the 31 McAllister Drive. Sometimes when you're ordering things online, it needs to be after the address line. You could also put it as a suite or apartment number. Some sites let you do that as well. So this is just a general look at the calendar for normal move-in time, and based on sort of what zone you're in, so kind of show where you what dates you'll want to plan to get those shipped to us so that they arrive in time, and definitely not too early, because like I said, the facilities to handle the extra storage don't really come online until about the 18th or 19th of August, which is why we can't have anything arrive earlier than that. So this is about, we often get a question about Bed Bath & Beyond, and I think Penny's going to give you a little insight into that.
Yes. So while we don't have any kind of formal relationship with that particular vendor, we know that so many families choose to use their program. So some guidance for you is that you could go with a couple of different options. Either have your order delivered to your Tulane student's mailing address, but make sure that you don't place your order until you know that it would arrive during that proper shipping time window. So consult that chart, and before you hit, submit your order, get some feedback from the company about what their delivery timeline is like. Or you can also have your order delivered to whichever store seems closest to you. I listed the addresses and distance from Tulane and their contact information for the 2 stores closest to us at the bottom of that screen. And both of those locations are good to go to if you need other shopping kinds of things. There are other big box stores close by. The one on Veterans Boulevard, and you'll see that neither of these has a New Orleans address. They're both in suburbs. So if you're searching for those, you want to look for those cities. The Metairie store is on Veterans Boulevard, and that's about halfway between the airport and us. So that might play into your plans. Or the Harvey store is on the other side of the river, but still not all that far from Tulane. The other option that you have is that we will have free shuttles that are our shopping shuttles available on move-in day, and they will go to the shopping center where the Metairie store is located. So, so you've got those different options if you want to consider that. So I know we get a lot of questions about that, so we wanted you to have some more context.
Hi everyone, I'm John from Housing and Residence Life. I'm going to walk you through the move-in procedures on move-in day. So by now your students should have all received in their Tulane email their move-in time slot and move-in instructions for Friday. And in that packet that they got from Mail Services, they also got a copy of their move-in pass. That's that brightly colored pass that has the time slot and their building printed on it. That move-in pass is critical to bring on campus for move-in day because you'll need it to enter campus during your time slot. So to give you an overview of how that process works on Friday, basically you will arrive on campus during your time slot. So if you have an 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. time slot, you'll arrive anytime after 8 a.m. and head to your building's unloading area. Those areas are in the move-in guide, and directions are also printed on the move-in pass. If you want a more interactive version of that, you can also visit the interactive map that's linked on our website, or visit admission.tulane.edu/map, and you can get an interactive view of those unloading areas. But either way, during your time slot, you'll head to your unloading area. When you arrive to your building unloading area, you'll be greeted by a student volunteer. They're called the TU Move Crew. Crew is obviously spelled Krewe in the Tulane tradition. And those students will help you put belongings into a bright plastic large cart and move those belongings up to your student's room in the elevator. So basically everything from the moment you get parked in that unloading area is handled for you. We help unload the belongings and get them to the room. One tip for you is that when you're waiting in a move-in queue, many parents and families will send someone to the FedEx trailers to go claim the package. So send the student to the FedEx trailers to go claim their packages, so that while they're waiting in line to check in, they can have the packages start making their way to the hall and get up there with those boxes. After you've unloaded everything, you'll move your vehicle to one of the long-term parking areas. So that's either the Claiborne Avenue lot or the Diebold parking structure. And that move-in pass will function as your long-term parking pass for that day as well. And once you've parked, you can take one of the shuttles back to campus to either continue setting up your room or go to Bed Bath & Beyond or Target or whatever you need to do on campus. When you've finished unloading, you'll check in at the residence hall front desk to get access to the room, or the student will get their room key there as well.
Okay, so this is Jay again. Just to tell you a little bit more about the sort of the pickup procedure once you get to campus. This is just a little infographic, kind of outlining the process for you. It's kind of clunky and but anyway, it's sort of what it is. But I'll kind of go through it with you, easy. This also just kind of gives you some perspective on what the trailers look like. The trailers are divided up. They're basically two sets of trailers with a platform in the middle of each, and the platforms are labeled as platform A, B, C, and D, and that refers to a pair of trailers. Like I said, the boxes are stacked in these trailers according to students' mailbox number, and all the students' items are kept as close together as they can. But obviously, these trucks get pretty full, and particularly in the early morning, they can be a little bit tricky to find everything, but everything eventually gets found and located for you. This is a move-in map. This is in your packet. Kind of gives you perspective of where the trailers are and the trailer operation is in relation to the residence halls on campus, as well as where Bruff, the main mail center, is also here on campus, as well as some of our operating hours during move-in weekend. So basically, the move-in day sort of procedure is, like I said, every package that comes in, the student will get an email sent to their Tulane email. So what's going to be important for them to check that email, and it will specify where their various packages are, because while most of the larger, bulky items are going to be at the FedEx trailers, some of these smaller items and items sent through the U.S. Postal Service will actually be in the regular mail center at Bruff, which is where the students receive packages all year long. So it's important to look at those emails and kind of determine if you have to go to both places or everything's at one place. That way you'll kind of know where to go. So anyway, at the FedEx trailers or at mail services, important thing is for the student to have their splash card. They'll be able to present that to either FedEx staff or mail staff, and that will help. That will then know who they are and what platform to direct them to. If it's the trailers or if they're at the mail room, we'll be able to scan that card and know exactly what they have to pick up. So and as they proceed to the platform, again, they'll check that ID. They'll look up the student's items. They'll have an inventory ticket, pull those items from the trailer, scan everything, and obtain a signature. At the trailers, then ROTC cadets will be there. As they offload those onto the trailers, the ROTC cadets will be able to load those up on a hand truck, and then you and your student will accompany the ROTC cadet back to your residence hall. We will also have hand trucks to use. We will have a lot of ROTC cadets, but they are somewhat limited. So if you don't want to wait for ROTC cadet to be available, we do have hand trucks that will be available to loan, and you can of course move the things on your own. We also have there'll be a customer service area at FedEx. It's in sort of a tent area, and that's where the FedEx management staff is located, and they're there to handle any problems, loan the hand trucks, provide technology support, and so forth, and answer any of your questions.
Jay, if I could interject, could you tell them also what they have to leave as collateral to borrow one of the hand trucks?
Yes, to borrow a hand truck from FedEx, you will need to leave a cell phone as your collateral. They will give you, each hand truck is numbered, and they will take your phone, wrap it up with attach it to the appropriate number, and then when you return that, you of course get your cell phone back. This is the sort of troubleshooting that FedEx handles at that tent. Occasionally, common problems are things have been miszoned. They're just placed in the wrong spot of the trailer. As the trailers get really full, things tend to shift around, and it may not be exactly where we can get to it right now. But FedEx will take all your information down and be able to track that package down for you very quickly, and you provide them a contact number, and they'll be able to call you as soon as it's available, and possibly even have the ROTC bring it over to you, and so forth. So anyway, at Mail Services, as I said, some packages will also be located in Bruff Commons at the Mail Center. We're on the first floor. We have some package pickup windows here. And again, the student will present their ID. We'll be able to scan that. We'll pull all the items and scan them out. They'll be able to sign for them. We will also have hand trucks available to loan here, and we'll also have some ROTC cadets working in this area as well. They will also get their mailbox key when they come to this area. Even if they don't have any packages there, we do encourage you to stop by at some point during the weekend to go ahead and so the students can pick up that mailbox key and they'll be able to begin checking their regular letter mail. This is just some examples of our storage area inside. And as you can see, this is where we're mostly storing the small packages and sort of the envelopes and padded mailer type of things. We often get a lot of questions about large items and do we handle sort of these specialty items, and so a few samples of them. Bicycles is a popular thing to ship. They can be shipped. Usually we encourage you to go through a bicycle shop or a bicycle vendor to have that shipped, as the bicycle does have to be somewhat disassembled to fit in the standard bicycle box. But those can be shipped and received. Golf clubs. A lot of people ask about guitars and other musical instruments. For those, we encourage you to ship those in a hard case, and usually actually include not only have it in a hard case, but pack it in another box as well. We certainly, FedEx is our partner. We invite you to go to any FedEx office who can certainly help you with packaging and give you important tips on that. Okay, so we've kind of gone over the standard move-in procedure as far as shipping goes. This year we have a new pilot program that some of you may have received the information for. These are for students living in Sharp and Monroe Hall. What this program is a special program that you can have certain items shipped. You ship in certain items using specialized labels, and we will receive, and we're going to stage these items, and we're actually going to place them into the students' rooms. This is a new program. We experimented with it last year, and we had a lot of success, so we've rolled it out and expanded it to both of the main freshman halls. So this is just some information. You should have received a packet and an email, and it gives you the exact procedures, the recommended sizes of the room, of the boxes, and how that will work. Yes, and the sign up deadline has already passed, so you should have already registered by last Monday was the deadline, and if you haven't registered so far, unfortunately the deadline for this program is passed, but like I said, you can still ship during the normal procedure, and we'll have ROTC to help you move those. Okay, so anyway, this is that concludes my section of this. This is our contact information for mail services. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email us at mailbox@tulane.edu. Our phone number is on here as well. And of course, we'll be taking some more questions at the end of the broadcast.
This is John again. We know that many of you have students who are coming at an earlier approved date than Friday. So this list reflects some of those groups who've been approved to move in early, and those approvals are final. So whatever your check-in date has set now is the final date. But let's say if your student is an Army ROTC, they should have gotten a confirmation email like every other student. It just has their correct date in that confirmation email and adjusted move-in instructions for that date. But you can see this list here of the potential groups that would have an earlier move-in date and any special instructions for those groups.
So we also wanted you to know how to maximize your day on move-in day, especially if you have one of the later move-in times. That's when you need to come to campus, but you may have some other details you're trying to take care of, like picking up pre-ordered textbooks at the bookstore. You may need to drop by one of these other offices. So we just wanted you to see that This chart is in the very first page of the online move-in or fall welcome schedule. So on this other slide, there's a link to it. So this shows it's on page 1 of that schedule. Hard copies of that schedule will be distributed at the residence halls when students check in. But as of the 15th of August, there will also be a mobile app that you can download so that you have all that information at your fingertips. So this just shows you kind of how some of these offices that normally wouldn't be open on the weekend will also have hours to help you on Saturday or Sunday as well. So this kind of just helps you know kind of how to make good use of your time. One of the most important things I will point out is that if your student was here for orientation and received an ID card, which we call the splash card here at Tulane, but they lost it over the summer, or if they didn't attend a new student orientation session and they still need to get that, then that's the first thing they need to do. So while you're lined up in the queue in your car waiting to kind of proceed to the check-in spot, let your student out of the car and tell them to come over to the STIBS room on the second floor of the Lab and Burnick Center and have their ID card made, because they have to have that to get checked in. And as you heard, they also have to have that to pick up their boxes and everything. So if your student's in that situation, then make sure that they just get that done first, even while you're going through the line. So something you want to check before you leave the hotel that morning is that they've got all of those different pieces, their ID card, their move-in pass, that has their parking instructions and all of that. So give that some thought so you can just make the best use of your time. And so, just look through that and see how there will be a lot of helpful people here ready to assist you over the weekend. Okay, so we've got some frequently asked questions that John's going to answer.
Yes. So Housing put together a list of commonly asked questions based on questions from last year and then questions we've received at our front office. We have questions about where students should store empty suitcases or packing supplies they brought, and students have to store all their personal belongings either in their room or find an off-campus storage facility. There's no other on-campus storage for these things. If students bought, or if you bought for your student a linen package through on-campus marketing, we'll have those packages in time to be distributed on August 25th, and they'll have more information about that coming soon. In the move-in guide, we list an address for a car service drop-off area. So if you're coming to campus, either from the airport or hotel, in an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi or some other car service, there's a car service drop-off on Ferret Street at McAllister. And we will have golf carts to assist students and families with bringing their belongings to that residence hall. So that is for just that one trip. That we're not going to be ferrying people back and forth between buildings or mail services, but they will take you from that car service drop-off area to the residence hall for that first trip. We commonly get questions about families who maybe are staying in a hotel and came in early. Maybe they came in on Thursday or earlier on Friday and want to see their student's room. And we can't give anyone access to that room before their approved check-in date. Once a student receives access to their space, we consider them checked in. And so for that purpose, we don't allow anyone to check in before their approved check-in date. We get questions, particularly from people in the Explorer program, but also other early arrivals. The question is if they're an early arrival, can they come back onto campus for move-in day? For Explorer students, those are first-year students participating in the Explorer program, they got a move-in pass for their early arrival on August 20th, and also a move-in pass with their time slot for Friday from 2 to 4. So with that 2 to 4 move-in pass, they can come for that time slot. For all other early arrivals, they should plan on moving in completely to their space on their approved check-in date, that early check-in date. And then if families want to come onto campus on Friday, they should come after 4 o'clock when campus reopens after the last time slot. If you're still looking for a list of items that you should bring or not bring, that list can be found in the move-in guide. I would pay particular attention to the things to not bring. Things on that list are amplified sound systems, which seem to be more and more popular, or smoking devices that are legal still aren't able to be brought into the residence halls, or items that have a exposed heating element that people don't always think about shouldn't be brought into the residence halls, and those are all fire safety risks. People often, if you've got a 2 to 4 time slot or an afternoon time slot, obviously you'd like to come to campus to get that student ID or visit another campus office. And yes, you can be on campus during move-in if you've got a later time slot. We just ask that you park in the Claiborne Avenue parking lot and take a shuttle into campus or walk, depending on your preference, and visit those offices before you try and enter a move-in queue. The New Orleans Police Department and Tulane Police Department will be monitoring traffic on campus, and you won't be able to enter a move-in queue unless your time slot has begun. If you leave the Claiborne Avenue parking lot or the Dibble parking structure, you will be able to get back into that structure as long as you have your move-in pass displayed in your dashboard.
Okay, so I know I get questions from parents too about how they kind of handle the weekend after they finish the move-in portion. So I just wanted to give you this skeleton schedule here to show you that you have the daytime on Friday to take care of the different campus errands and move in, and then students have a dinner break from 5 to 7:45. So if you're planning to eat off campus, please make early reservations and make sure you can get the student back to campus, even a bit before 7:45, because they have a mandatory floor meeting that's very, very important for them to learn about procedures in their residence halls and safety guidelines, and also start to get to know their neighbors on the floor. And then they have 2 other big programs that night that are just really signature events that, all first-year students kind of remember where they were, this evening and the friends that they made that very first night. So that's really important that your student participate in those. And so that's time for parents to go back to the hotel and rest or go hang out or whatever. So I gave you a pro tip about making restaurant reservations through this special promotion called Culinary New Orleans that happens during the month of August. Or you may even prefer to have your special dinner out on Thursday night if you're going to be here that early, just so that you don't feel so rushed. But your students' meal card, their ID card, which contains their meal plan, will also be in effect on Friday. So they could use that to eat on campus, and then parents can pay, at the door as well. And then on Saturday, we hope that parents will come back and join us for part of the day there. You can begin getting seated for the President's Convocation ceremony at 10:30. Your students will be going all together with all the other students on their floor to where they will be in the big auditorium to see that. And parents all sit together in another location, and we broadcast live the ceremony in for parents to watch. And then you meet back up with your students when the ceremony ends at noon, and you're invited to a special jazz lunch that will happen in Bruff Commons Dining Hall. Again, the students will already be able to participate in that lunch with their meal plan when they show their ID card, and parents can pay at the door. It's kind of a nominal fee. Also, the different academic schools will have orientations and receptions with those academic school deans, and some of those really provide lunch. So you'll just kind of have to see which school your student would be going to, whether they're business or architecture, or if they're liberal arts, then they can go to those. And if they're undecided, they can also drop into different ones just to get an idea of what's going on in those different academic schools. But in terms of making the rest of your plans, then parents can stay through as much of that as you choose to. Do not feel that you have to stay for everything if that doesn't suit your travel plans or your commitments back at home. But definitely we expect that parents would be leaving campus and going back home Saturday night because students have other additional mandatory meetings on Sunday. So there might be some parents that would stay till Sunday morning, but students have something even, I think, as early as 10:30 or 11. So it's really kind of hard to catch up with them really after Saturday, late afternoon. So plan your schedule around that. So you'll also see more things in the full schedule that you'll see online, and that link that I mentioned earlier in the slides. A lot of the campus religious organizations and campus ministries that are nearby campus, some of them have Saturday evening or Friday evening or Sunday morning services. And so if that's important to you and your family, they do usually invite parents to participate in that first weekend of services too, if that fits in your schedule. So just look over those details and plan your time. I often have parents who will say, I have to be back because I have another student who has to move in at a different college on the next day, or I have to be back for, my eighth graders special event that's going on or something, or they've got a business trip they have to take. So I do want you to know that on that Saturday, the students all go together to the President's Convocation, and they are guided by their orientation coordinators, and they have RAs around, and there's a lot of other students, and they do things en masse a lot. So I also think that you don't have to feel terribly guilty if your schedule just won't permit you to stay through that whole day. I think that, students will be surrounded by other students in the same boat if that's the case. So we just want you to kind of feel comfortable kind of making the schedule work for you and doing what fits for your commitments. So now it's time that you can type in questions, and we have a few more minutes. We will try to take as many of these as possible, and then we just ask that you contact mail services or Housing and Residence Life directly if we don't get to your question this evening. So I'm going to ask the questions, and our two wonderful presenters will fill in the answers. So here's one question. If you want to mail packages directly from stores like Amazon and other vendors, can we do so because we won't have the special stickers affixed to them? So if you could clarify that point.
You can order items from retail vendors and have them shipped directly to campus. You'll want to make sure you use the address format and that the student's name and mailbox number appears on the address. Those items will be received and staged either in the trailers or in the mailroom at Bruff Commons, depending on the size and so forth, and the carrier that they arrive through. But yes, you can absolutely order that.
And so a kind of related question, someone asks, how and when should textbooks be shipped to my son? And I'm assuming that parent means that they're getting textbooks from somewhere other than the on-campus Barnes & Noble bookstore. So it's kind of the same thing. Like if they were ordering from a different textbook vendor, they would just have to make sure that the address is in the proper format and that the delivery date would not land here until the right
the 18th
window.
Right.
Okay, so I hope that answers that question for that parent. So the next question is the Metairie Target closest to Tulane? And yes, it is by about a mile and some odd distance. But so keep that in mind if you're just looking, distance that way. On that slide that you'll see again when I send you this, there's the exact distance between Tulane's campus and those stores and all of their contact information too if you want to telephone them. So if your student is arriving early for Greenie Camp or one of the other Explore groups and his move-in date is the 20th, will it be hard to get his package if there are hundreds of packages in the designated trailer? And
okay, well, actually, the Explore program packages will not be in the trailers. The Explore program, you got your calendar has some special shipping dates to ship your items earlier so that they avoid going into the trailers. We have a cutoff date of, I believe it is August 12th. We need to receive those packages for the Explore program. They'll be in the mailroom, and they will be easily accessible, and we will also have people to actually help you get those to the dorm rooms. They will not be members of the ROTC, but we have a service that will be provided on Sunday the 20th.
So this next question is that they're confused as to whether or not the labels are for the pilot program or the regular move-in day.
Okay, there are labels for both programs. If you're in the pilot program, the labels are absolutely required in order for those to be put in the rooms. Those are color-coded labels. They are either blue or green, depending on your residence hall. The other labels are extremely helpful to us if you're shipping things, particularly if you're shipping them from home, because it allows us to easily identify and stage them in the trailers and easier for us to locate them once you come to pick them up. So we do encourage you to always use the labels whenever you can. Obviously, if you're ordering from a company, you won't be able to do that, but we'll still be able to handle it either way.
I'm not sure if this is what they were getting at, but would someone have received the labels for just the regular general move-in process on the 25th but then also gotten an additional set of labels if they were one of the 300 for
No.
the thing. So they got one or the
They
other.
only got one or the
Okay,
other.
so just
Correct.
use whatever you were sent.
Right.
Okay. This question is, can I have more than one car in the queue? So John, how would they handle that with?
So you wouldn't be able to have more than one car in the queue at a time because you only have one move-in pass. If you remember from orientation, if you were here, our campus is very, very condensed, and we've set the move-in time slots up just by the fact that there's not a lot of space for the move-in queues. So we limit everyone to one car, one move-in pass to get through that move-in queue so that everyone can move in. If you think about it, we've got about 1,800 students trying to move in that day, so we've got to limit it by the time slot and by the number of vehicles.
But if they wanted to go through with one car, get all the way through, go park, and hand the pass off to a different family member with a different car,
Absolutely.
they could go through again.
Yes.
But they just have to do it one car at a
Yes.
time.
Correct.
Okay. Reminds me of my sisters and I having to move to college with a Volkswagen. We got it all in like one Volkswagen. It's amazing. So, anyway, for the Explore program students, are 4 boxes placed in the room or all 6? So the Explore students pick up their boxes.
Yes, Explore students will have to pick up their boxes. There will be somebody to help them move them to the room, but those are not pre-placed in the rooms.
Okay. So again, here's a question about ordering from vendors. So if you're ordering from a vendor and it's going to be shipped directly to Tulane, it cannot arrive here until after August 18th.
That's correct.
Right. So, so please keep that in mind. Let's see here. And they'll just have to, the students, to find those packages and where they are, they just have to look at the emails again to determine.
Look at the email. That's going to be the easiest way. Easiest way to know where your packages are. Correct.
Okay, so here's another question for clarification. If I have a 2 to 4 move-in time slot, does that mean I cannot park in the parking lot and get into that room before 2? And so, yes, 2 would be the earliest time they can access the room.
Correct.
Right.
The 2 to 4 time slot is for traffic and check-in. So you can park in the Claiborne Avenue parking lot and take the shuttle into campus or walk and visit campus offices, eat in the dining hall, do what you need to do on campus, but you will not be able to enter the move-in queue, unload your belongings, and check into the room until your move-in time slot.
Next question is for students attending the Explore program. Will Bruff be open for students on Friday? Yes, for all students on Friday. They will be able to eat at Bruff. Their meal plan will already be activated for it, and they use their ID card for that. And so that's what you can do. So another family has asked if they can take their student out to dinner on Saturday night. So I would say there is another very short time window for a dinner break. You'll be able to look that up exactly when you use that link to the schedule that I will send you. And I actually already sent that link in the email that I sent you earlier today. So just scroll through the pages until you get to that part of the day on Saturday, and you'll see it's not a very large window. So, and there are events for them on Saturday night as well. So you just may want to take a look at that. And that's definitely why I recommend getting reservations at a restaurant so that you're not stuck somewhere waiting in line when you need to be back to campus kind of in a hurry. So take a look at those things. Also, you are welcome to eat on campus on Saturday night if you want to. So let's see. Mailing windows shown on today's slide is different from the mailing window in my daughter's packet. So which one is correct?
The one that we showed on the slide is for if they are a regular move-in on the 24th or 25th. Mainly the 25th is the one that was in the slide. You may have got a specialized one if you are in one of the pilot programs or the Explore program. Your map would be slightly different, have different shipping windows.
Definitely follow whatever you received personally, either by the student's email or the student's personal home address mail. That was personalized to your student, so follow that one. What we used for the slides were examples. Let's see. What services are available on Sunday the 20th for the early move-in students and parents? So not a whole lot, actually, because it's Sunday, and normally we would not have a lot of things open. There will be some limited options within the food court. But then once the students' programs begin late in the afternoon, then everything's taken care of through their program, whether it's Greedy Camp or, you know, summer journalism experience or whatever. So, but in terms of other things like the bookstore and, other offices on campus, those are not open on Sunday. So if you are still trying to make up your mind about which direction you'll go, whether you'll come with your student who's coming early on Sunday, or send your student on ahead without you, and then you come and join them on Friday or Saturday, then that may be something you want to factor into your decision making, because if you had to choose one or the other and you really want to take advantage of the different services and resource people that'll be available on Friday, then you may want to arrange your travel that way. There are some advantages to coming at the beginning on Sunday if you want a smaller group of people who are moving in that day. Just remember that the trade-off is that the whole campus is not organized around facilitating move-in on that particular day. So for the students arriving Sunday for Explore, will they get a notice or warning when somebody is entering their room to deliver their roommates' early boxes to Monroe? For the most part, the Explore students are out and about and gone all day, honestly, during the business hours when the company that would be delivering these things would show up. So
yeah, so I can talk about a little bit about
Okay.
that process. So a Tulane staff member and a housing staff member will be in the buildings during those deliveries, and will be the ones providing access to spaces. We'll obviously have a list of rooms that are occupied, and just based on my recollection, the number of early arrival students paired with a delivery was relatively low. But those belongings will obviously, if we're entering a room that's occupied, we'll knock before entering, announce ourselves, open the room, and then secure belongings inside the space.
Okay. What should we do if the housing assignment has changed since the move-in passes have been sent?
If your housing assignment has been changed, you have a couple of options. You can still use that move-in pass and time slot. Your time slot won't change. So you can use that same move-in pass for that same time slot and just go to your appropriate building. You just need to make sure you follow the directions for your new building and times and room instead of the old building that's listed on the pass. The TUPD and the New Orleans Police Department won't be telling you can't go to a building based on your move-in pass. They're really just color-coded based on the time. The other option is if you really want a new move-in pass created for you, you could email us at housing@tulane.edu to have a new pass created for you. But honestly, there really is no need.
So another question is, are there maps or layouts of the room available online?
There are some 3D renderings available online for first-year buildings. Those renderings represent the most common room types. Obviously, if a student's living in JL, that building is about 100 years old. They'd be 99 years old. And so the room types vary a little bit from room to room, but we were selective when we picked those rooms to be modeled, to create 3D models, because they're the most common room types in each building.
Okay. So another question is, what happens at the end of the year? Does Tulane store stuff? So now we mentioned earlier that we don't store things during the year or over the summer, but you can go ahead and go back to the parent webinar website and sign up for our end of the year summer storage and move out process webinar. We do partner with a local company who provides a great storage service, and our FedEx store on campus also helps students ship things home. So we provide the students a lot of guidance about that, and it's kind of broadcast to them through their email, and their RAs talk to them about it, and they get a lot of guidance about how move out works. And then we also have those resources, and we provide another webinar for parents, so you can find out all about that. But do keep in mind, we just don't have like extra, like I had in my college residence hall, a trunk room or luggage rooms. We don't have a lot of basements in New Orleans. You wouldn't want to store any luggage in a basement if we did have one, with the damp and humid weather that we have. So what I recommend sometimes is when you're coming here for move in, if everybody in the family brings a suitcase, and then you just empty all those out, and you nest the empty suitcases within each other and take them back home with you on the plane. Or as a student is kind of preparing over spring semester, maybe every time they come back from a break, they bring another suitcase and stuff it under their bed or something, so they have more to use when they're moving out. So you do have to strategize a bit, but it can be done. Let's see. For the early move-in people, how will boxes from Amazon or Target be shipped to campus? So it's, again, the same thing. You just need to follow the instructions about the dates to use, and they'll follow their email instructions to figure out where they go to pick them up. So this family says, we will not have a car. Do we need a move-in pass?
No, you will not need a move-in pass to enter the queue. You still need to check in during that move-in time slot, because the move-in time slot is tied to your check-in when you get to the building.
Okay. Here's another question that's more about the events. Are parents invited to all the school orientations and dean's receptions? Absolutely. That's why we plan them at that part of the day on Saturday, so that we try to have all those things kind of up front so you can participate in as many of those as you would like to. You're absolutely welcome to stay. But again, I didn't want you to feel like it would be horrible if your commitments require that you leave campus before then. But we'd love to have you there if you can make it. So, let's see. It is a little after 8. I'm going to, we'll keep answering questions for a few more minutes since we're a little bit late getting started, but just want to let you know that, if you need to tune out, we understand. So we'll take a few more questions. My daughter's doing Explore, and I'm coming in Thursday night. I know it ends that day officially. Does she stay with me, or can she stay in the dorm Thursday night if desired? Yes, we completely expect that the students would stay all those nights in their own residence hall room. Now, if you wanted her to come stay in your hotel room with you, that's fine, but even though her program ends, that room is hers from the moment she checks in when she first gets here for Explore. And in case this question comes up, I feel like we've made this really clear to this point, but those Explore students and the other student groups who are required to be here early for some team or function or something, like the athletes who have to come for training camp, or the band who comes for their rehearsal camp, they go directly into their regular residence hall room assignment, and they can stay there until the end of the semester. Let's see. Can you get the splash card on the 24th? So yes, if your family was already here on Thursday and your student hasn't done that, then they can come over to campus and go ahead and get that done. I think the one thing you just may want to think about is that it may be hard to park on campus, because everyone who works here would be here in their regular parking spaces on Thursday, whereas on Friday we're all told we are not allowed to park on campus, and all that space is kind of commandeered by the traffic control folks to arrange for space for you all to drive in and move up and go through the queue and all of that. So it's just something to think about. Kind of, there's advantages and disadvantages either way. Another question is, do you know when the Trash to Treasure sale will be open for business? And I wish we did, but the students haven't told us yet. So that's why it will be really important for you to, we hope we'll have that information by the 15th, and it'll be on the mobile app. It'll definitely be in the schedule. So check the app. Definitely check the app. Let's see here. Another question. If you are in any kind of other kind of special group, then you will get customized instructions by the student's email.
Yes.
So make sure your students look back through their emails, because maybe you're worried about all these details and they really have that information and just haven't shared it with you. So I think it's really good, once you parents have kind of heard all of this, that you kind of go through this with your student and ask them to kind of open up their Tulane email and look for any instructions, and let's kind of get organized and go through it together.
Yes, so just every student has been sent a quite long but very precisely worded email that confirms their check-in date and move-in instructions for that day. It references the move-in pass, where they check in, all that information. So if for some reason a student can't find that in their inbox, that's fine. Just contact our office, and our staff will look up that email for them and resend it.
Okay, so here, there's a couple other questions. Let's see. Elevators in Monroe. My daughter's been assigned to the 12th floor of Monroe. Can we use the elevators throughout the day on Friday? So we have very special ways to manage the elevators, and I'll let John talk about that.
Yep. So our elevators will be controlled all day during move-in. Obviously we prefer people to use the stairs if they're able. I understand that 12 floors is not the easiest way to get up to the top of the building. However, our move-in time slots are also organized to allow for different floors to be moving in. So for example, when the 12th floor of Monroe is moving in, it's quite likely that the lower floor of Monroe is moving in at the same time, so that lower floor is not likely to be using the elevator for moving their belongings up. So that was a long way of saying that yes, you'll be able to use the elevator. However, we do prioritize carts and packages that volunteers are putting in elevators first. So you may either need to share an elevator and go up in a couple of trips with the carts, or wait in line for an elevator to get up to that 12th floor.
And if you wait, you might find that the volunteers have moved all your stuff and you're not having to trek back and forth.
Exactly.
You just have one trip up the elevator.
Yes.
And other people will help you get the things in. So here's another person who's asking about their students is attending the Explore program and they're moving in on Sunday. Would we, her parents, be able to bring her additional things directly to her room on Thursday evening? So that's only if, the student's already there.
Oh, okay.
And so if they're home, then they can let you in after their program's finished, if they're finished with everything and you connect with them and you bring those things over, then that's okay. But you can't go in their room while they're out and about with their program. So you do have to make sure the student is the one who lets you into the building and lets you into their room. You would not be able to just walk in past the front desk on your own as a parent if your student is not there with you. And that's all just because it's safety concerns. And that's the way it always worked during regular school year. Another question is about a do or do not bring. And this one is, can a student bring a NutriBullet blender? And those are okay because there's not an open
Correct.
Heating element.
Yes.
That's the main thing about the appliances, that they can't have toaster ovens and toasters and things that can catch fire easily. NutriBullet does sound like it's pretty high power, but it's not a heat thing. Okay. Does it make sense to ship our students' packages to someone we know in New Orleans, or does that make it more confusing? I would say if they're really great friends and they're very able-bodied and have great muscles, then sure, send it to them. They can come over to campus with you and help you move in. But I think that's all up to you. That's a personal choice. So I think just, I guess consider that if you choose instead to ship those things, they'll go directly to campus. There will be people here to receive them. You wouldn't be burdening your friends with having to, be home at the time when whatever shipping company you use shows up to drop off your things. And we'll have those other volunteers and people to help you here on campus. So I think really in the grand scheme of things, it's probably easier to just send them directly to campus, wouldn't you say, Jay?
I would say so.
Okay. But keep in touch with those good friends. Your students may need them for other things, especially something like a home cooked meal when they are missing home and family. So let's see. So again, if you looked at the slides about the times and the windows, and that seems at odds with what your student received, go by what your student personally received, because those instructions are customized to your students' building and whether or not they're in a special program. So follow what they got in the mail and email. So one question was, the instructions said that for an early group, they could only send 4 items, but there were 6 labels. But did that get up to 6?
It did get up to, it is up to 6 items
Okay.
for that program.
Is there a limit to the number of boxes in the pilot program if they were one of those people who signed up before the deadline?
The limit is 6.
The limit is 6. Okay. So I think we have, are the students free for dinner on Sunday night? And I'm sorry, I don't remember that off the top of my head, but you would be able to tell when you look through that schedule how long the students have for dinner, um, and see whether or not it's really possible to have a family get-together dinner that night. What is the move-in pass? What does it look like? So if you could explain that a little bit so they'll recognize it in their packet.
Yep. So the move-in pass is a brightly colored document. I believe it says move-in pass printed on the top. It's either purple, orange, blue, green, or pink, depending on the time slot you've been assigned. And the top says move-in pass. It should say the student's name, the building, and their time slot. And the bottom has directions to each building's unloading area printed for them.
Okay. I'm not sure if I understand this question, so you guys might. Please verify that you cannot get pre-delivery from store-shipped boxes.
That is correct. The pre-delivery items that are going to the rooms have to have the labels that we send to you on them. If you can somehow get those labels onto the box coming from a store, then yes, they would be placed in the room. But yeah, they'll have to have those labels on those items.
Okay. Another question. We have an 8 to 10 move-in time. Did you say the student needs to check in second floor STIBS as soon as possible? That is only if they have not already received their student ID card, what we call at Tulane the splash card. So if your student did not receive that already or lost one they already got, then they would need to do that first. So as I said, if you're in that category and they don't have one, then while you're in line, send them to come over to the LBC to get that while you're waiting in the queue. It shouldn't take that long. So we just wouldn't want you to go all the way through the queue, get up to the front of the building to check in, and then them say, oh, now you have to leave. So just keep that in mind. So this next question is again about people who are coming early for the Explore program. Will the RAs be in the residence halls when the Explore students are there as early as the 20th, if in case they need anything? Yes. That is why the students can't come any earlier than that. We want to have the building staffed with people who are trained to deal with emergencies and help students. So yes, the RAs will be there. One thing I do have parents ask sometimes is, will there be a lot of other people around when my student's there for one of the Explore programs? And it's possible that they would be the only person on their floor who's participating in their program, but there might be somebody down the hall who is in one of the other programs. But I want to reassure you, yes, the RAs are there. So there's always at least one RA on a floor. And they are really kept so busy with all those activities that week that they're rarely in their rooms. So they really don't have a lot of time to kind of be on their own and get lonely. But there are those trained student staffs around and about and on duty at night. And they can always find the RA on duty find out who that is by going to the front desk of their residence hall. So they'll have people around to help them if they need it. How do students find out which books will be required for their classes prior to arriving on campus? So they go through their online administrative portal that's called Gibson Online, and there is a tab there for bookstore, and there's also things where their schedule is on there. So they can find that information through Gibson Online, and then it sort of connects into the bookstore ordering system. So that's how they can do that, and I highly recommend that they go ahead and do that and order their books, because it'll be a whole lot better than it was when we were all in college and we had to stand in some long line waiting to get our textbooks. If they pre-order the textbook, the bookstore staff packages those up and they put them all together in a box and label it, and all their student has to do is go show their ID and pay for the books, pick them up. So take advantage of that great service. It's very much of a time saver. So let's see. So all of the move-in packages are on their way across the country. So if you haven't received yours in your mailbox, it should be coming in the next few days. So don't panic right now. They were sent out, but it can take longer for the further away you are from New Orleans. But I would say don't get alarmed until it's like next Monday or Tuesday. And if you haven't received it by then, your student does have all the same information by email, and the labels are as attached as a PDF, and you could just print those out on paper, cut them apart, and slap them on your packages. So they're really the only advantage to what's in the mailed one is that they're stickers
They're
already.
peel and stick,
They're
yeah.
peel and stick.
Right.
So you've got the same information. Your student already has everything. So a parent is asking if a student can bring a twin headboard. That would be no. You already have the furniture.
The furniture, I mean, you could bring something, but you can't remove any of the furniture that's already in the room. All the furniture that's there has to stay there. So there wouldn't really be any reason to bring that headboard because it wouldn't fit the twin bed that's already in there. The bed that's there is an adjustable residence hall bed. It's not a traditional twin bed.
Okay. Another person asked if a Keurig coffee maker is okay. Answer is yes on the Keurig.
Yep.
And then another question about Explore students. Can they access their rooms on Friday move-in day outside of their allotted move-in time? Your Explore students are already moved in.
Yes.
They are checked in. So I think the only caveat would be that you couldn't bring your car through
Correct.
until their move-in time slot. But they can come and go from their room, yes. So they could go pick up packages, that are at the trailers and walk them over and that kind of thing. But they just can't bring a car through. Let's see. Okay, so if you're using an Uber or cab to get to campus on move-in day, how does your process work? So your drop-off point is on Ferret Street, in front of the Devlin Fieldhouse, and it'll be really well marked. There will be police officers guiding you to that. You drop off, unload there, and there are people there to help you at that point.
Yes, I think it's critical that you use the address from the move-in guide for the car service drop-off and put that in the app if you're using a service so that they have the correct location for the drop-off.
Because we don't, a lot of our buildings on campus don't have like typical street numbers and street names on them. So the fact that they've given you that information in that move-in guide is really critical because otherwise a Uber or cab driver might not just recognize the name of the building. Or for Uber, you have to submit something sort of online and so that they can GPS track it. And use what they give you.
If you enter a queue with an Uber driver, they'll be very unhappy with you being stuck in a move-in queue and not being able to accept a fare.
Yeah. So look in the move-in guide. The instruction to give your car driver is in that guide, and that's in the students have already received it by email, and it was in the link in the email message that I sent you earlier today. Is there a trash room in the dorms? I also had another question earlier today from a parent about trash and boxes and recycling, so if you could speak to that.
Yeah, so it depends on the building, but our custodial staff will be on site all day helping bring trash and recycling down from trash rooms if your building has a trash room. If not, the area where the trash is collected will be clearly marked, and you just have to leave it in that designated area. So, for example, Monroe, it's right outside the building. So as you're exiting the building, you just set your trash in that area right outside the building.
Okay, I think this is going to be our last question. It's a very practical question. I can tell this was submitted by a very organized mom. Should the student get a dustbuster to vacuum carpet? And I say that, yeah, I think that's a smart thing to invest in. Your student might not think it was the most fun graduation gift that they're being given, but I guarantee you it will be one of the most practical ones. There are vacuum cleaners that are available for checkout from the front desk, but everybody in the building is sharing those. If your student has their little personal dustbuster, it'll be really convenient.
Yes, there are very limited vacuums available. I highly, highly, highly recommend a small rechargeable vacuum so they can keep their rooms clean.
Okay. So parents, I know that there were some questions that we didn't get to, and I apologize for that. We've tried to cover a lot of ground. If you still aren't sure about the answer to your question, please email either housing or mail services. And when you get these slides, you'll see their email addresses again. I'll give it to you really quickly here if you want it. So they're pretty easy to remember. So for mail services, it's mailbox@tulane.edu. For housing, it's HRL info for housing residence life info @tulane.edu. So as always, we ask that please give us feedback. If you want to type in a comment now, you can do that. But what's really helpful to me is if you send information constructive criticism, any positive comments, things that you liked, things that you needed. It just helps us a lot for next year, helps us tell our colleagues that these webinars are appreciated and valued if you will share some comments with us. And so you can send those to me at parents, Parents, parents plural, at tulane.edu. And I thank you for sending us a few little messages here. So thanks so much. And I appreciate some of the, we've already got a few suggestions that sound really helpful. So thank you so much. Please, 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 I think a few things I could tell you as tips is tell your student to faithfully check their Tulane email. They really have all this information already, and they need to keep up with that. There are other departments besides housing and mail services that are also sending them information. So make sure they're checking their Tulane email, and that you all kind of sit down and kind of have a confab at least once a week between now and the time you move here, just kind of catch up on what you need to know and share so you can make your plans together. And start getting your student to take more responsibility for all that management that I know you all do all the time. And also wear comfortable clothes on that Friday for move-in or whatever day you're going to be moving in. Wear sturdy shoes because up and down the stairs, people can drop things, stairs can get wet, or if it's raining, wear sturdy shoes instead of just flip-flops, just to be more safe. Stay hydrated. It will be hot, it will be humid, I can guarantee you that. So it's just really important that you're making sure everybody in your family is taking advantage of the free water we'll be passing out, and that you just kind of take breaks so you can stay hydrated and cool. And also just be patient. Sometimes there's a little log jam, but then it usually works out. So you just have, the day kind of flows. So if you just kind of be patient, go with the flow, and be friendly to everybody and cooperate together, we'll all get it done. So it's very much a team effort. And we want you to have a good day, and we want you to be prepared. So that's why we've provided all of this. I hope it was helpful. And we thank you for your attention and your interest. And we wish you a very happy next few weeks as you're enjoying the final days of your summer with your student. Create good memories, and don't be too sad about your student going away to Tulane. We're going to be happy to welcome them to our campus, and we look forward to seeing you all again later in August. So with that, we're going to close the webinar, and thank you very much. Good night, everyone.